So we are a sister company of BMSS, who has a location here in Gadsden. I'm sure you're familiar with them. We have share the same logo. And what we do is the payroll and benefits compliance side and offerings, and complement very well to our sponsor today in their partnership. So like he said, I am Ashley Culliver. I have been with Payroll and Benefits Solutions since April of last year. And then my background before that was in HR. So I worked in manufacturing groups, in 2 different manufacturing groups in the HR roles, doing some payroll, doing some onboarding, a lot of the practices around that field. If at any time you have questions, just stop me. Please, I want this to be interactive. If you have questions, I don't want it to be something that I'm just up here blabbing if you need. So yeah, a little bit about Payroll and Benefit Solutions and kind of what we're seeing. So trends that we're seeing. Everybody's still hot topic right now is hiring. We need people. We need people. We can't keep people, right? And so some of the focuses that we're seeing that are kind of taglines for us are some onboarding delays and how to figure out this new remote work. Are there opportunities to onboard remotely if you're used to pen and paper? A lot of just shifts in that focus area there. Like I said, physical paperwork is pretty much a thing of the past. A lot of people are going to that electronic onboarding opportunity and really needing a focus to take their policies, their procedures, all of that sort of thing into the digital realm and away from pen and paper for storage practicality. Multitude of reasons, remote work and everything. The other one that we have seen recently has been a huge uptick is outsourcing of HR functions as a whole, primarily because of the turnover, right? So individual companies are having issues keeping a benefits person, keeping an HR administrator, keeping that sort of onboarding personnel in the group, and every time that turns over, they're having to relearn and take time and train and not have some consistency in that group. So outsourcing that as a function has become very relied upon and needed in today's work. And then the benefits piece is just so critical to any sort of recruitment, retention, continued employment. And so we're seeing, along with the offer letter, and this is not a new trend, but it's very enhanced right now in today's markets, benefits being high priority. So they're part of your total compensation package anyway, but people are really focusing on what does their health plan look like? What do their premiums look like? What is the company doing to establish work-life balance? Have anything there outside of just the typical, okay, here's your health plan, right? So it's really being a more robust look in as far as benefit offerings. And then some onboarding necessities to kind of talk about the tips and tricks there, which is why we're here. If your system is, or if your HR system is external from your payroll system, you're sort of most of the time having to do double entry, right? So you're having that onboarding and it's great, everything housed here, but then it doesn't communicate to payroll. It doesn't communicate to your benefits side. So one thing that we offer is an integrated system that the company or the employee can go from an applicant, a recruit really, and go through that applicant tracking period to onboarding all the way into payroll and then benefits management in that sort of system, and then even on from that into a timekeeping piece. So really have that, eliminate that double entry for managers, streamline that workforce. If we're already having to wear multiple hats, we want it to be as streamlined and as efficient as possible. And then the ability to send paperwork, not only federal paperwork such as like W-4, state tax forms, direct deposit forms, those normal forms that we have, but an integration with your personal practices and policies and procedures that you need electronically signed and stored. If all that can be done in that onboarding time period, that's what we're seeing really trend towards. So what do we offer as a company? Who are we? Right? So what we offer is a payroll outsourcing piece and a PEO outsourcing piece. And I'll go into a little bit more about what both of those look like and kind of how they can really help in today's markets and trends. Now does it still work? Yeah, got it. It was still on like the camera thing. So our payroll services, and I know this is like a slide full of words and jumbles, so if you guys have individual questions about it, let me know. But basically, outsourcing a payroll and how we're different from like our big national competitors, the ADPs, the Paychecks, the big groups, is everybody can process a paycheck, right? We can do that. But what we differ and how we differ is each of our companies is assigned an individual payroll specialist. So you know their name, their phone number, their email address. And we really focus on that relationship-driven side to establish ourselves as a partner with you. We're not a 1-800 number. We're not some elusive group that you're going to get someone different every time. We really want you to know us and us know you. That way, if something complicated does come up, if you get a tax notice, anything like that, we're there, we're involved, you know us, you're comfortable with us, and we can all have that conversation together. So what payroll services include is your week-to-week, bi-weekly to bi-weekly, semi-monthly, whatever your payroll cycle looks like. Outsourcing that, we'll handle your direct deposits, your paychecks, we have pay card options, everything there. And then we handle all of your tax compliance around there. Our additional pieces, as you can kind of see, is that online application tracking system, the integration with your onboarding, the integration with timekeeping. Those systems come into us so that we have a unique and single point of focus for you as a client and end user to utilize. And then we also have some other pieces like labor law posters. If you need to remain compliant, we have some opportunity around that. And then 401k contributions, we'll handle that for you. And then your garnishments, any of those sorts of filings that you need, we can help there too. Any questions around payroll? Cool. Okay, PEO is the one that's not as familiar. Does anybody know what a PEO is? Sweet, it's my favorite. So PEO stands for Professional Employers Organization. The best way that I like to describe a PEO is we take our arms, put it around your HR department, and do everything on the compliance side. So we're going to handle your employees from onboarding to offboarding and everything in between, with the exception of day-to-day supervision. We cannot come in and say, hey, you should do this today, because we don't know that. But what we can say is if you wanted to hire somebody or you wanted to fire somebody, we're going to make sure that you're in compliance with that. So it's a co-employment relationship, which means that your employees come under our FEIN for tax filings, for health insurance purposes, and for general admission and administration. And the basic way that I like to describe that is there's shared liability for both of us, right? You have a hand in the game, we have a hand in the game. Any of the unemployment claims come under us, right? It's under our unemployment ID. Any of the payroll taxes, comp liabilities, all of those things come under us, right? And then the benefit of the PEO, which is like the main reason that people join outside of like that HR outsourcing piece, is now you are eligible to be on our benefits plan, right? So we offer a full benefits plan of health, dental, vision, life insurance, supplemental life, 401k, all the ins and outs of a company, of a benefits plan that you need. We offer that, and so now your employees have access onto this plan, right? So what does that take off for you, right? It takes off the administration piece. It takes off your month-to-month reconciliation. It takes off your COBRA paperwork. It takes off your onboarding, your explanation. Our PEO team comes out and does learning with your group, right? So we come out and we sit down and we really help you be benefit consumers. So not only are we doing an onboarding piece where we're coming out onboarding you and your employees in this plan or in this system, right? Whether you utilize the plan or but the benefits or not, we're coming out and doing that enrollment, making sure that your dependents are correct, making sure your beneficiaries are correct. Because worst case scenario is something that happens and we don't have things in order, right? We want to know where everybody, what happens if the worst happens to you, as far as like your 401k monies, your benefit monies, things like that. So the PEO is really growing. It's not as big in Alabama yet. Our PEO has been around about 5 years. We have about 3,500 covered lives. Sorry. And then our payroll side, we've been around 17 years and we have about 1,200 companies under there. We run about 50,000 checks a month. Had to make sure I had my zeros right. Yeah, so we're well established in the Birmingham area. We're well established in the Gadsden area. We really appreciate all the kind of community involvement and support that we do have, especially from these areas. Any questions around PEO in general or kind of what that looks like? Yes, sir.
So when you say that there is a full benefits plan, do you have choices for that business to choose for that, or is it all in one with Blue Cross Blue Shield? Or
Correct. So we have Blue Cross Blue Shield as our main provider. We have 3 separate plans within that. So each organization can choose to offer 1 plan, 2 plans, or all 3 plans to your employees. We have a low deductible plan, a medium plan, and then a high deductible with a gap coverage. So we have different opportunities based on your group. Where we see the most utilization in this is employees or employer groups. Our average size is about 15 employees there. And we see that as someone that is growing, looking towards growth, and then having an opportunity to provide this benefits piece as a retention, as a recruitment piece, right? So they might not that owner might not can afford to do it on his own. They might not have that time, totally understandable. So outsourcing that to a PEO type growth allows us to do the administration, the cost piece, and then have that benefit for you guys as the employers.
One other question.
Sure.
So under the disciplinary and the employee complaint investigation, by you handling that, do you take into account that management team or ownership team or that owner being able to substantiate a stronger claim, or are you looking at it as a complete independent third-party HR department?
No, so what we would do is our very first step in the PEO onboarding, after we've gotten the company enrolled, employees enrolled, benefits elected and going, right, is we're going to sit down with you as that management piece, and we're going to do either a full handbook review if you already have a handbook in place. We're going to do a compliance review on that, making sure everything's up to date. And if you want to establish something or have increased policies or anything there, we're going to make sure that from a compliance piece that's in order. And then from there, we're going to be your partner in that sort of discipline review. So if you did have an HR issue come up, obviously that company is the front line of defense there, but we're your partner. So we are also partner with an external law firm that if we don't know the compliance answer, we're going to go and check with them. But we're going to meet in that complaint investigation piece. We're going to guide and direct sort of the investigation there. We can come in and do in-person if needed. It kind of flows a little bit based on the situation and based on the involvedness that we need to be in that. But most of the time what we usually see is we provide guidance on like the paperwork, the steps of the investigation, the overall outcome pretty much. Like, okay, here's what we gathered, here's what interviews or information said, here's next course of action, right? So that's what we usually see. We have had cases that we've had to come in as an HR team and actually physically be there for the termination or whatever that looks like. Unfortunately, it does happen, but that's where we want to be your partner in that and just have that open line of communication. Yep. Anything else here? Cool. With both of our systems, we have the ability to do like an online PTO tracking, the accrual tracking, those sorts of requests and everything on an online basis there. And then I think we've kind of touched on everything else. Oh, 401k. So the 401k piece with the PEO is an involved plan. So with our PEO group, we do have one offering that we have for our 401k. If you choose to elect that, like if you didn't have an established 401k or wanted to transition everything to the PEO plan, we will help you do all of that. We will help you do that rollover for your current plan. And then we will also do another round of plan learning around that so that we make sure that we have the best utilization and that we're benefit smart consumers on that 401k plan. But if you already have an established plan as your company, you don't have to join ours. It's not a requirement under the PEO. Cool? Cool. All right, so why in the world do you outsource your payroll, right? We have had a lot of people be like, well, I can do it on my own, it's fine. Well, the IRS doesn't necessarily care that you didn't know you had a Gadsden city tax, right? We're going to know that. We're going to help you through that. If you grow outside the city of Gadsden, outside the state of Alabama, we're going to have like, okay, Tennessee doesn't have an income withholding tax. So you're going to have some different relationships or state unemployment. What do they have? Where are we going? We're going to have your back, right? So we're going to be your partner in that. We're going to have your established group. We have a tax team on site that helps negotiate, or not negotiate, but navigate those opportunities for you, helps you know where to apply, what can we help you apply with, everything there. And then what we normally see is our fees are much lower than an IRS penalty, right? So if you're acquiring these IRS penalties for consistently late filings or anything like that, and I actually had one company tell me at one point that they just bank for that. And I was like, well, that's kind of silly. Why not outsource and have some relationship liabilities in that and not have to worry about that monies? They're like, no, well, okay, maybe. Like, maybe. Fine with me. But we'll get them around eventually. But yeah, so we really take on that compliance side and that liability side from your tax perspective. Back office overhead. If you are running around trying to hire, trying to guide, trying to build relationships, trying to maintain employee culture, it's a lot going on, right? Let us take care of your payroll. Let us take care of your compliance piece, your benefits side, right? And so really have that opportunity. And then it allows your current staff to kind of focus on growing the business, working in the business instead of on it, right? And have that opportunity for that. And then, like I said, our tax team does maintain current, up-to-date with any sort of tax changes, any sort of Department of Labor changes that affect payroll. We're going to keep you up to date and make sure that you're compliant on that. All right. And then industries that we have experience with, we actually ran a really cool graph, and I said this before, I saw it the other day, but our top group is restaurants, actually. That's our top percentage, oddly enough. And then we have our medical professionals, our doctor's offices, our dental offices, dermatologists, that sort of group. Our next two bulks are nonprofits and churches in our percentage of like industry-wise. So we have a lot of opportunity with the church payrolls, with nonprofit payrolls. And in that, they have a lot of unique factors. Well, kind of unique, but they also combine with like things like construction, where they have a lot of job costing, right? So they have an opportunity, or we need a lot of reports down to payroll hours of, hey, I was at job A or project A from 8 to 10, B from 10 to 12, and C from 12 to 5, right? And so we need to be able to cost that back to each project so that you can then report on it, right? So we have a lot of capability and growth around those sorts of things. And then we have a fair amount of clients in the other industries too, but those are our kind of main top four that we deal with. All right. I am the business development representative, right, for PBS. So if you have a company that you would like to talk about, you would talk to me, right? We have a very standard quote process. We understand payroll is a commodity. You know, we want you to be our partner in that, and would love to just kind of work with you to find out the best solutions for you. I do have some information in my cards over here if you guys want to just grab one. Feel free to do that. But beyond me, what we do is we have a dedicated implementation team on each the payroll and PEO side that actually works with you to do your implementation. So we don't just hand you your half-built template or your shell of a company and say, all right, go do all your importing. We handle all of your importing. We handle all of your payroll history. We do all of your learning. We do one-on-one learning with you as you grow, or with your company as you onboard. And then, like I said, we connect you with that ultimate payroll specialist that's going to live with you for the life of as a client, right? And so we really focus on having that sort of personal relationship from me all the way through. We are hiring for a benefits rep too, if anyone wants to, shoot some candidates that you might have that way. That would be awesome. So I could have a partner. But But yeah, so that's kind of what we do. Are there any questions overall, any sort of HR forum questions that we can kind of chat about, or anything that I can help? All right, well, I will give you some time back. Sorry, that was fast, I talked fast. But I will kind of give you some time back, and happy to answer any individual questions I can, or if you think of anything this afternoon or later on, happy to help.